Uh,
Anal on behalf of.
I'm I'm getting some voice,
On
please.
behalf.
I think
Krishna sir,
Yes,
all,
yes, sir.
all the parts.
It is clear.
okay. So I'm working in this particular AI techniques thing almost for past 10 years. So let me tell you one thing that it's very old information. Maybe most of you might be knowing a few of the information already. What is AI and what is its advantages and other things. But to begin with, it's like a broader perspective we need to see. It's not like whatever that we learn in a textbook or we learn a passage that AI is something like it is an artificial brain or artificial thing that will work like like a human brain or something like that. You will get information from most of the textbooks or the online information. But to actually understand what AI is, we need to understand how actually AI can be classified. So from that point of view, we need to understand how best we can implement that to our problems, particularly electrical engineering problems. So basically, if you observe this, AI techniques, uh, AI, artificial intelligence, this is the word what we are listening from many years. So AI can be a broad display of creating intelligent machines. Okay, if a machine is having an artificial knowledge, means in the form of an coding or something like that, we can call it as an artificial intelligent machine. Coming to the machine learning, particularly refers to the system that can learn from experience. This is usually the word that we are listening nowadays, the machine learning. So the next one is deep learning. This is also coming up mostly into the electrical engineering problems, which is refers to the learn from experience on large data sets. So if you have a very big information and you are learning from that experience, it's considered as a deep learning. So next, already we know this artificial neural networks refers to a model of human neural network that is designed to help the computer to learn. And um, we may not be knowing these two, the natural language processing and automated speech recognition (ASR). This is also a part of artificial intelligence terminology. It actually NLP refers to the system that can understand language. So if you open your mobile, so if you say something like "Okay Google" or maybe a Siri or "Hey Bixby" or something like that, so it is basically listens to your voice and gives information based on your voice. So it actually trains by each and every person's voice which is having his, I mean, which is included into his mobile. So next comes to the automated speech recognition. Again, where the what you say that to unlock the locks and other things, it is again one type of a thing. So if you put them into a perspective, something like a Venn diagram, so AI is a broader perspective, and machine learning is which comes within the AI, and at last you will have the subdomain as the deep learning. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of AI. So if you put these two, the lateral NLP and ASP, so that will come like this. I think yeah. So the ALP and ASR is subset of all these things, right? So uh, particularly what we are actually um, looking at is of machine learning techniques. Okay, machine learning techniques are basically neural network, ANN, we can consider them, and genetic algorithm is one type of machine learning, and fuzzy logic is another type of machine learning. So basically, it was started by Michaelos-Spitz model, computational model for neural network, which was given in 1943. And in 1974, backpropagation algorithm has been come up into picture, which is basically the basic step of artificial intelligence techniques that we can see now. So whenever a person is implementing artificial intelligence techniques to his problem, he will definitely will come across this backpropagation. Even this particular presentation also will definitely looking into deep into the backpropagation algorithm more. It is a basic thing that we need to understand so that we can go for the advanced powers, the advanced AI techniques that we can implement into electrical engineering. So basically, the back propagation algorithm is a supervised learning. So in so basically, the operation of neural network that we need to understand from this particular example. As a child, we'll come across all these things at our early age. So basically, how a biological neuron will be the basic operation of our biological neuron, because the artificial neuron is also basically it is modeled based on the our biological neuron. The artificial neuron is also modeled on the human biological neuron. So it contains, the brain contains neurons. Everyone knows this information. They store the information to recall them whenever required. So if you have some information, it is stored into your brain, and you'll recall that that information. Let us take it as a basic example. So you can see the pictures here. So at a childhood, usually when as a child when we go to our kitchen, mom says that don't touch the hot objects. It will make you it will make your skin to burn. So basically, what we do is we will touch it, we will see, we will feel that burn. Then we will came to know that okay, these are the things that we have to be careful. That okay, this is the hard surface, we should not touch because it burns our fingers or maybe our skin. So based on that information, we now know that we should not touch the hot surface. Now, even if after 30 to 40 years also, you'll store that information in your brain. Whenever you are with hot surfaces, you will definitely be careful. So, similarly, we are modeling our artificial neuron, which can be modeled into a computer, where it can store that information for n number of years, where it can reproduce that information again. So similarly to your neuron, biological neuron, the artificial neuron also can work. So this is how the biological neuron is. So coming to the artificial neuron, so it is same as uh, your neuron, your biological neuron. So it has some inputs and it has some summation input, and it gives some threshold. It's very difficult to understand this particular structure. Let us go with some example here. So I think the chat window is opened. I think, sir, is the chat window is open? Yeah. Okay. So you will see some questions on the screen. So based on your question, please respond. What is your option for that particular question? So the question is like this. So consider you are in your study room and you saw a raging fire. So you have two options. You will flee, option A. You will try to stop it, option B. So you have two options. Which one you will choose? So if your option is A, put it into the your chat box as A. If it is B, put it as B into the chat box. Let's take 30 seconds for this question. Yeah. So most of the people are saying that when you see a fire, you will flee. Sorry, when you see a fire, you will try to stop it, right? Consider that you are in your study room and you saw a raging fire and you will try to stop it. So basically, what happens in your brain is that our eyes sees that information and it analyzes it. It compares it with the earlier information that okay, this thing is the fire, and yeah, we need to do something. So it reaches to a one particular output that we need to act. We need to act, and that action has to be performed. So similarly, if you consider the next example, now go to the next example. See this particular question. So now fire is an image on your computer PC screen or mobile. Now what you will do? You will flee, you will try to stop it, you do nothing. And again, you have three options, A, B, C. Now which one you will choose? Now the fire is an image on your PC or mobile. Consider it like this. you will flee option A, you will try to stop it option B, you do nothing option C. So basically you will choose option C because now what happened is, now what happened, you have seen the image, you have seen the fire, it compared with the earlier information. Now brain what it does is, a collective neurons will consider that information and they combine that information and they will see, oh, okay, whether I need to do some action, whether I need to take some action or not. It will compare with that, and if that is taken, if it is that is reached, then a particular action will be performed. So here, even though you saw the fire, but you do nothing because it is just an image on a piece. Now, the brain works in this particular fashion. Means it will get the information, it summates, means it collects the information and it does some calculation, some summation value, and finally, if that reaches a particular level, then the next action will be performed. Means okay, this has reached to this maximum point, so that is my threshold. So that is 1, I need to do some operation. If it is 0, I need to do nothing. So 2 operations are there, 1 and 0. So your biological neuron does the same thing, as well as the similarly modeled artificial neuron does the same thing. Now we need to give information to this artificial neuron in such a way that it will store that information for future, and whenever you want to recall it, it again does the same set of information, same set of things, right? So now here you have seen some information here, weights, input, summations, and threshold limits. We will see what is the threshold. Again, I told you that threshold is a limit where it if it reached, that particular action will be done. So threshold functions are basically something like 1 and 0 in your computer. If it is a binary system, it is ones and zeros. Okay. Similarly, the threshold function is such where that particular sum that is coming from the your input neuron, whether it reaches to some level, it performs, it gives a particular output. So we have these type of threshold functions, thresholding function that is between 0 to 1. So if it is greater than 0, will be 0. If it is greater than equal to 0, it will be 1. So we have signum function and sigmoidal function and hyperbolic tangent function. Basically, we will, I'm getting some requests here. Basically, what I will do is I will take the sigmoidal function. So sigmoidal function is majorly used in the appropriation algorithm. So moving on, it's not that much required for to understand here. So basically, neural network classes are single layer feed forward network, multi-layer feed forward network, and recurrent network. So basically, if you see a single layer neural network, we have input layer and output layer. So let me go for pen here. So here you have an input information like this, and you have an output information like this. It will be multiplied with one weight function, and you will get output directly. So here there is only one layer of neurons, one layer of a single layer of neurons, and you will get directly the output. In multi-layer neural feed forward networks, you will have multi-layers. So there will be a hidden layer and there will be an output layer, input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. This is hidden layer, right? So you will have multiple multiplications here, and the output is the summation of all this information. Okay, basically this will be more strong in giving your information, more strong in giving your output, and this will be less strong to give your output. Something like when you are giving, consider that it is a classroom example. I'll take a simple classroom example. You know the information. Sir has asked you a question, and you are giving the answer to that particular question. So you know the information. So what you do, that you will answer that question with full confidence, right? So that means you have that knowledge embedded into your neural network with a strong bond, and you can give a strong answer to that. So here, actually, what happens with multi-layer neural networks is that particular relationship will be there in the multi-layer neural networks. Means a strong bond between your input and output will be possible with multi-layer neural networks. And with single layer neural networks, that bond will be less. Means consider that you have less confidence, or just I'm giving an example. It's not a relevant example, but at least you can understand what the differences between these two, the single layer and multi-layer. Why we need to go for single layer, why we need to go for multi-layer. We have a strong bond between the input and output, better go for the multi-layer networks where you have extra hidden layer. And you can have multiple hidden layers also. Usually what we will do is we will take 2 times or 1.5 times of your input neurons. So if you have 3 input neurons here, I can take 2 times, that is I can take 6 hidden neurons. This is 6, this should be 6. If it is 3 into 2, 6, or maybe I can take 3 into 1.5, that will be around 4.5 to 5. I can take 5. So 6 to 5 to 6 neurons in the hidden layer. So number of layers also you can consider. 1 hidden layer, 2 hidden layer, 3 hidden layer also you can consider. It is basically the number of neurons that you are considering in that particular problem. So basically we will go for the multi-layer feed-forward network only. Next, what is the recurrent networks? Recurrent networks are basically, if you have a feedback like this from input to output, those are known as recurrent networks. It is something like a bias. Okay, so something like feedback. If you consider something like feedback type control systems, so you have a feedback loop. So it will correct itself such that the output is the having a strong relation with the inputs that is given. So basically, we'll use the multi-layer feed-forward networks more in the power system problems or electrical engineering problems, particularly. So coming to the characteristics of neural networks. So what it is actually? So basically, neural networks exhibit mapping capability. Mapping capabilities means your input is related to your output. Some relation will be there. Okay. So something like consider an example like this again. A simple example. Like at the morning, what you will do when you enter the class, you try to sit in the last bench. Okay, so there is some input, means the class is empty, or maybe you want to sit in the last bench, or some relation is there, some relation to sit in the last bench. So basically what you will do is your brain tells you that okay, this happened, so you do this, something like that. So some mapping will be there. So based on that mapping, based on that information, you perform your action in that way. Artificial neural networks also does the same thing. It exhibits the mapping capability. Basically, it is having some input. Based on that, you are having some output. There will be relation between your input to output. And basically, it is an inference engine. Neural networks is basically an inference engine. Means this happens, that may happen. So it is something like that. This may happen, that may happen, that may happen, this may happen. It is something like logical thinking. Okay, something like what we will do is that something bad has happened in one day. What we will do in the morning? Okay, I have come across this, I come across that, I will come across this. So what you will do? You will just simply explore the reason for that bad that has happened in your particular. So this is something like inference engine, inference way of thinking. Next, it learns by the examples. So when you give certain examples, means basically if you consider with biological neuron, the same thing happens. So you give some information, you learn from that information. Okay, don't touch the hard surface, don't drink the cold drinks, or don't do this, don't do that. So it learns from the examples. And neural networks also possess the capability to generate. It's something like forecasting. So basically, neural networks can be used for forecasting. You can see that here. So I have some patterns with me. So I took a neural network and gave that information to that, and it has um, uh, captured that information. Whatever that curve that is there in that, that information is being captured and stored into the neural network. And whenever I want to do the future prediction, I can do using that whatever the input I want to give. Based on that, it gives the output. So it is something like it is used for the forecasting. Generalizing means is basically it's for forecasting. So learning methods. This is also a very important information. That is learning methods. There are different type of learning methods in the artificial neural networks. Basically, the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforced learning, Hebbian learning, and gradient descent learning, competitive learning, and stochastic learning. It is something like a teacher student. So in a classroom, if you consider an example like this, so teacher tells you what to do, what to read, what to think, something like that. So based on that, you does that actions and you learn the information. So basically, the learning methods are the methods where you are telling your neural network to get the information and store that information and in future recall that information. So if it is a supervisor learning, so basically it is something like you have a teacher at your class, so he tells you what to do, what not to do. The supervisor learning. So unsupervised learning, it is completely where a teacher is absent, so you learn by yourself and you perform the action by yourself and make the changes by yourself. So next one is reinforced learning. Reinforced learning is again almost similar to your uh, what you say that a supervisor learning. It's somewhat a different way of learning system. There will be a bias thing and other things, and heavier learning and gradient descent learning. And here, if you observe properly, the supervisor learning is one type. Supervisor, gradient descent, and stochastic comes under supervisor learning. Unsupervised learning, Hebbian learning, and competitive learning comes in one side, and reinforced learning is completely a different way of learning the mechanism. Here, what we are doing is a gradient descent learning we will use for the backpropagation algorithm. Basically, it's a multi-layer neural network and gradient descent learning. So we are slowly seeing one by one, and we are now coming into the backpropagation learning. First, we have seen what is a multi-layer neural network, what are the learning methods, and now which learning method we are going for, and what type of network we are going for. So now backpropagation algorithm is a multi-layer neural network and employs a gradient descent learning. Till to this point, we came into existence. Next, uh, how this particular backpropagation algorithm will work. So it's very difficult to understand. So let us do with a small example here, because if you don't understand this properly, it's waste of time. Because why we go for the backpropagation algorithm? Why we go for the artificial neural network? So let us take this example. It's very fun to have this example here. So we have something like weights versus heights. Some data is being presented here. Now I request all the participants to please post your data, means something like your height. You give only one information, either height in centimeters or weight in kgs. Any one information. I don't need extra information. I need only one information. Just post your information. How much is your height in centimeters, and how much is your weight in kgs? Okay. So I'm not getting that. So I need to go for the chat box. Where is the chat box? Yeah, here it is. So yeah, so some information I'm getting. Let me let me put that values here. So I have 40 kgs, 45 kgs, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. Here I'll take it as 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. I think I have done some mistake. I'll take it as 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. That will be good. So this is basically, let me raise these things. So go for a 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. Okay. Now let me go for the value, one value at least. I don't only need only one. Yeah. Hamza, yeah, I saw some name, Hamza, 74 cases. Okay, let me go for 74. 74. Okay, 74. Let me take this one. So your height is around 160. Can you confirm, Hamaza? HAMJADALI. It is 74 kgs. I am putting your height as 160 centimeters. I am right or not? I don't know. They have to confirm it. 177 centimeters. Okay. If I go for, yeah, okay, that is also there for me. If I go for the top one, then I will get near to that 177. This point. If I go for this, it is 160. If I go for that, it is 170. Okay, let me take one more. Let me take one more person's weight here. Yeah, Dr. P. Chandrasekhar. So his weight is 76 kgs. Okay, 76. Sorry, 76. So it will be somewhere around. I'll put it as here. I don't know. Sir has to confirm this. His height is 173 centimeters. I don't know. Sir has to confirm this. 173 centimeters. Uh, Let me take one more. One more thing. Someone has given. They has given. I don't want the actual answer. I don't want both the things. I only need only one value. So that's why I'm not taking. Few persons has already given the values, but problem is they have given both the values. Don't need both the values. Only one value. Okay, 72. Somebody has given 72. Yeah, 72. Repalli Venkateswarlu. So I'll put your weight somewhere here. Your height somewhere here. 165 centimeters. I don't know. You have to confirm me. Venkateswarlu. 165 centimeters. Yeah. Oh, I have given the answer also. Oh, sorry. But I have not seen the answer. I have not seen the answer, but yeah, I taken only your height and okay. So yeah, so right. Venkateswarlu, I can confirm you that I have not seen your answer 165 centimeters, but I have seen only the 172 height and I mean weight. I have seen according to that I have given your height, but exactly it was there. So what actually I am doing is I am predicting with some other information. I have taken some information from somewhere else and I am projected that into some graph. And when I gave the x-axis and y-axis, when I am taking a new values, I am predicting the other value. Something like I have a weight, I am predicting the height, or I have a height, I will predict a weight. So basically, what I am doing is I am drawing a line which can cut these lines, which can cut maximum points otherwise. So if I draw a line like this, it cuts these points. If I draw a line like this, something like this, it cuts this information. Or if I draw a line like this, it cuts this information. So basically what I am doing is with my understanding of heights and weights, with whatever the information I have, I am drawing a straight line in such a fashion that it cuts maximum number of points. So if I consider that this is my original line, means I don't deviate from this line, then what happens? So somebody has said that 77 kgs, so they will be falling here. That is their height is 180, 170, 180. Okay, or somebody else is consider that 60. So this is my line. So there will be 150. So 60 kgs, 150. So basically, what I am doing is I am fixing one particular line here. Based on that, I am predicting all the other people's heights and weights with a simple straight line. So basically, neural network works like this. It is something like you have some information and you are saying that this is the line that I choose and which covers the maximum point such that all my next values or the future predictions will be following this particular line. Something like if I draw a line like this, a curved line, or I draw a curve like this, it captures most information. And whenever I am using that curve, I am simply getting the future values. So simply neural networks is something like curve fitting where I am capturing more information into it. So this is how the neural networks will work. So basically, if you see issues in training, particularly if you are having a values, a data points, and you are training your neural network, basically what you will see is, if I'm drawing a straight line like this, it may not capture all the information. So if I'm drawing a curved line like this, it may capture all the information, but it takes a lot of time. And a good fit is something like this. So neural network should be in such a fashion that it should capture most of the information, and this is how it should be working. So the training mechanism we are using to train our neural network should work in such a fashion that it should be good fit for the data. Okay, this is the major issue for the training as well as for the neural network, which we need to come out of. Okay, so next we will see what is the backpropagation algorithm, and today we will see the coding also, how it will particularly works. Step by step we will see. So basically, when you are performing the neural networks, when you are going for the backpropagation algorithm, so first thing you need to do is, what is your inputs? First, you need to, you need to get that information. What is your inputs and what is your outputs? So let us take a very small example. Something like, I am adding two numbers. I'm adding two numbers. So something like, I am adding 1 plus 2. What is my output? My output is 3. I'm adding another number, that is 3 plus 2. My output is 6. And I'm adding a number 5 plus 6. My output is 11. Now I have two inputs and one output. So what is my input? So in first case, my input is 1 and 2. Second case, my input is 3 and 3. Third case, my input is 5 and 6. And what is my output? My output is 3, 6, 11. So first you need to identify what is your input and what is your output. So if you are giving it like this is one pattern. I call it as one pattern. This is second pattern. This is third pattern. I have three patterns with me, and I am giving that to the neural network, and based on something that is happening in the neural network, I am getting an output of 3, 6, 11. Now, neural network doesn't understand what's the data it is getting. Okay, it just trains from that information. There is no modeling in that actually involves. Okay, basically, it's, as I said, it is an inference engine. So it's something like one first input is 1, second input is 2. Okay, 1 is 1, 2 is okay, is given to this. Output is coming out. Okay, that is 3. So if it's not 3, I need to do something. Next pattern is coming. Okay, this is happening, and output is something near to 6 or not 6. Next 5, 6 is coming up, and next they were added, some output is coming. Now output is not matched to the actual output. Whatever the output that I am getting is not matched to the actual output. So what I will do, I will calculate the error and I will try to reduce that error. So simply neural network, what happens in neural network is, it's simply getting the information, based on that it gets trained and it will be matched to the output. So first and foremost thing is, identify your inputs and identify your outputs. Okay, so in this case I have taken one example where addition operation is happening. My inputs is 1 and 2, 3, 3, 5 and 6. My outputs is 3, 6, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 6 are input patterns, and 3, 6, 11 are output patterns. So I have identified what is input and what is output. Next, I need to assume how many number of neurons should be there in the input, in the hidden layers. So basically what we will take is 2 times of number of input nodes. Okay, in this case, how many input nodes are there? 2 input nodes are there. 2 input nodes are there in this case. So what I will do, 2 into 2, I will take 4 hidden neurons. 4 hidden neurons. 2 into 2, I will take 4 hidden neurons. Okay, that is also selected. Next, I need to take 2 weights, that is V and W, for input to hidden layer and hidden layer to output layer. This I need to select. So what I need to do, I need to initialize those weight values first. What is this weight values? What they will do? Basically, they will capture the information. What is the relation between the inputs and hidden layers, and what is the relation between hidden layers to output layers? So V and W values are a weight vectors which basically captures the relationship between the input and hidden to output layer. So something like it is a black box information. Consider that it is a black box. You have two types of black boxes where the information is coming up, stored, and goes to the next level, and again in the next level it is stored, again it goes to the next level. So something like some information is coming and some information is going, and that black box information is updated regularly such that it will go for all the information input information that is given to you. So 1 2 is given, so that black box has been updated, that V value is updated. Next 3 3 is given, V is updated. Next 5 6 is given, that weight V is updated. So now the V is capturing all the information of 1 2 3 3 5 5 6, right? That is done by V. The same thing will be done by W also. And for doing such, we need to initialize those values with -1 and 1. This is the first thing that we do. And next thing, this is where the things come up. Just a minute. I need to change my view here. Okay. So, right. I'm still connected. Yeah. So this is my input. Already I mentioned. I'm consider one example here. I'll take that example again. 1 2 3 3 5 6. This is my input, and I have output, that is output. I will take it as 3 6 and 11. Right now, the first thing is this is output of input layer, which is this one. 1 2 2 3 3 3 5 6. So if you consider that it is 2 by 3 matrix, and this is 3 by 1 matrix. Okay, so finally whatever you do, you should get this. Means you should get this particular matrix, 3 by 3 matrix, 3 by 1 matrix. So if I consider the 3 by 1 matrix, so whatever that is coming from this side, so that is coming from this side, I'm talking about from this side. So 3 by uh, some matrix, I'll consider it as 3 by uh, some matrix. And okay, I couldn't do that. Sorry for that. Let me erase that. I should take it as 1 by matrix. I don't know this side, and it is multiplied with some other matrix. So I don't know that one also, and this side is 1. So these two are multiplied. So I'll get this one. Okay. So this I don't know. It is multiplied with some matrix here, and this sum matrix is coming up from this side, and this is this one. And this side I'll take it as 2 into 3, some V matrix here. Okay, so V transpose, yeah, V transpose is 3 into 2. I'll get 3 by 3 matrix. 3 by 3 matrix is multiplied with 3 by 1 matrix. So I'll take it as 3, 3 here. So this is 2 by 3 matrix. Yeah, done. So now you can observe this here. So I have a 2 by 3 matrix like this. I have considered a random vector generated by V, that is 2 by 3 matrix. I have considered this. I'm generating this matrix 2 by 3 size. Next, I multiply these two. I need to take V transpose into this matrix. Okay, so that is V transpose is 3 into 2 V transpose, this is V transpose into O matrix, that is 2 into 3. I'll get 3 by 3 matrix here. So this one is 3 by 3 matrix, 3 by 3 matrix, where I will multiply with 1 by 3 matrix. I'll get 3 by 1 matrix. Okay, just an example I'm taking. It may not be correct or it may not be true actually. Sometimes it is actually, if I consider the example, regular example, it may differ actually. So here vaguely I'm taking just to understand things here. So what I did is I take a V transpose matrix first. V transpose has been done. V transpose, I'm multiplying it with the my input information. This has been done. So after multiplication, I got one matrix, means one matrix, that is IH matrix. So here you can observe IH matrix. For that, I will apply a threshold function. So threshold function I have applied. I got a 3 by 3 matrix. This is a 3 by 3 matrix. Now I'm taking a 1 by 3 matrix first, 1 by 3 matrix. Then I transpose it. It became 3 by 1 matrix. So this is W matrix, W transpose matrix. 3 by 1 is W transpose matrix. I'm multiplying these two. I'll get a 1 by 3 matrix. So this is 1 by 3 matrix. Again, for 1 by 3 matrix, I'm applying the threshold function. So threshold function, finally, the output is this one. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking one input pattern and I'm giving that to the network, and I am trying to update the neural network, and finally I got some output. Now I'll compare this, whatever the output that I got from this one, and with the actual values, and I'll find the error for that. So that is what I'm doing in the next one. So basically what I will do is I will calculate error like this. So this is my target value. Target value is 3, 6, 11. And my output, consider that output has been something like 2.5, 5, and 10. This is my output. Output is this one. Sorry. This one. Output is whatever that I got from after this multiplication, whatever I got is output. And this is my target. Okay. Actual values. So this is my these two. So I'll find out the error and I'll do it by number of patterns. This is N is for number of patterns, right? So now error is found. So you observe properly, that is 3 minus 2.5, it is 0.5, 6 minus 11, that is 1, and 11 minus 10, it is 1. So I am finding the summation of these two and square root of that. So that is 0.5 plus 1 plus 1 whole root by number of patterns. So that is 2.5 by 3. Now this I need to reduce to a particular value. Okay. So that means I need to update my V and W values. Means what is actually happening? I have some values here, randomly generated values. I'm multiplying with that. I'm getting this particular output, that is 2.5510. So now input is same. Input doesn't change. Only thing that is going to change is V and W. So weight functions has to be updated. So we have some formulas for updating that. So basically what we are doing is we are using something like derivative of error, and we are back propagating this information to update my V and W matrices. So you can observe that I am finding the derivatives of my error function and I am updating my weight functions. So first I will update my W function, my W vector or the W matrix, by multiplying alpha with my old value. This is my initial value I considered, into one eta into y value. Y value is coming up into OO into dt. dt is calculated like this. Okay. So basically what these two are, alpha is acceleration factor and eta is learning factor. So basically the backpropagation algorithm implements a gradient descent technique like this. So basically you start with some function, some value like this at this cup, and consider that you have considered a ball like this at the top and you have released it. So what happened, if it comes like this, like this, like this, like this, and it falls. So basically, if this curvature is more, means if it is coming like this, consider an example like this, right? It takes less time to come, it takes more time to come. So learning rate is something like this. This is whichever the descent descent of that ball, or simpler than descent of that curvature, uh, is such that if it is more, it takes more time. If it is less, it takes less time. So learning rate is such that if it should be 0 to should be between 0 to 1, and if it is more than zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.6, it takes a lot of time to learn to the inputs that is being given to it. And also acceleration factor is such that the learning rate gets accelerated, means if you multiply with this particular value, it gets less time to reach to its actual output here is, in this case it is 3611. Whatever we got is, consider that an example as 2.5, 5 and 10. So basically we are accelerating our learning mechanism such that the neural network learns to that input given, I mean the actual target output, in a faster way. So but these values should be carefully chosen such that it takes a smooth curvature in learning that information. And going for the updation of the next value, that is v, what happens is you use this particular formula, see what happens all these things. So v is updated like this. So again it will have a alpha and acceleration factor and learning rates. Okay, so basically what happens in backpropagation algorithm is we are feed forwarding the input information. We are forwarding the input information, and we are back propagating the error functions. We are back propagating the error. Okay, hence it is known as feed forward back propagation algorithm. Whatever we are doing is we are giving some input to it and we are back propagating that error. Okay, simply we are back propagating the derivative of the error. Simply we are finding the derivatives. So whatever that we are getting here is of the derivative function directly. So we are simply back propagating that error into the network such that the network is trained to the targeted output. Okay, so finally we will find out the error rate, and error rate should decrease, and this will repeat until the tolerance uh, convergence is reached. So let me uh, go for the applications of this. So basically where we can apply this uh, neural networks is, we can apply it for load flows, we can apply it for load forecasting, we can apply it for wind and solar power forecasting, and also we can use it for ancillary service forecasting. I have not included some of the other advantages, something like tuning PI. We can PI PID. If you are considering a power electronics problem, you can tune PI PID also using neural networks, and also something like you are doing an online tuning also. Okay, there is some papers online tuning of PI controller, PPID controllers using neural networks. Okay, so there are other advantages also for going for the this neural networks. So let us go for the uh, how it is working. So I have installed MATLAB on mobile also. So it will work both on mobile as well as I have both versions. My mobile version I'm having, and also I'm having the desktop version. There is 1 year license is there that is given for SIH Smart India Hackathon. I'm using that license only. Was the licensed version whatever I'm using, and the whatever the version that I'm using in the mobile is of given for the my college ID domain. So you can also have that type of access for your if you are having a college domain to you, you can also access the MATLAB on your mobile. So yeah. So step by step, I'll show everything here, and